I asked Copilot the same question 3 times this morning. Not a hard one. What are your limits when you read a document I share with you? New chat every time, and you can see each chat is empty. Here is answer 1, answer 2, answer 3. They do not agree. And the thing that actually decides how much of your file Copilot reads is in none of them. Because it is published. Microsoft has a page called Search Limits for SharePoint, and it is specific in a way none of those 3 answers were. Over 150 megabytes, only the metadata gets downloaded, and their words are that the full content remains unavailable for search. 512 megabytes if it is a PDF, a Word file, or a PowerPoint. Parsing stops at 2 million characters, and the table says the real number can be lower. The word breaker only reaches the first million, and there are 2 separate 30-second budgets, one for parsing, one for word breaking, after which the item is marked partially processed and the rest is not indexed. Now count how many of those numbers turned up in the 3 answers. 2 of the 3 gave none of them, and not one of the 3, not once, mentioned a clock. Here is the part I did not expect. All 3 did give me a number, and all 3 cited it. 50 megabytes a file, 20 files a conversation. I clicked through, and the page is real, and it says exactly that. It is the help page for the consumer Copilot. Wrong product. So the answer was not invented. It was a correct quote from the wrong page, handed to me as if it knew, and that is harder to catch than making things up, because it survives a fact check. So why did it not just say that? When you ask Copilot about your document, there is a document to go and read. When you ask it about itself, there is nothing to go and read. No page in your tenant describes how its retrieval works. So the only thing available to answer with is the shape an answer like that usually takes. You do not get a system report. You get something written in the style of one. This is where I stop being the one making the claim, because Microsoft describes this exact failure on its own page. It is called the application card for Microsoft 365 Copilot. Quote, a known risk with large language models is their ability to generate ungrounded content. Content that appears correct but isn't present in source materials. Their sentence on screen, not mine. Now put those 2 things side by side. Ungrounded means nothing behind it to check against. And for a description of Copilot's own internals, there is nothing behind it to check against. Not because it went wrong, because there was never a source there in the first place. 2 people wrote in on the same day with different symptoms, both asked Copilot what had gone wrong, and both got an answer that was confident, detailed, well-organized, and documented nowhere, then spent a week fixing the wrong thing. The second one gets its own video. If you are thinking that 3 different answers just means it is a bit random, look at how Microsoft grades its own system. Same application card under how they evaluate quality. Ideal outcomes, their word, reflect consistent performance across variations of the same task. Suboptimal outcomes include inconsistent outputs under similar prompts. So this is not a quirk anybody is celebrating. It is a thing Microsoft tests for and counts against itself, and it is at its worst on exactly the questions that have no source to ground against. What you watched at the start was not bad luck. So the fix is boring and it works. When the question is about your content, ask Copilot. When it is about Copilot, read what is published. A lot of it is, and it is better than you expect. My favorite from that same limits page. If more than 10,000 distinct users or security groups have access to an item, then quote, the item isn't searchable by any user. The item still exists, and eDiscovery can still reach it. But make a file open enough and it goes invisible to search. No self-description was ever going to hand you that. Microsoft publishes the warning too. Over-reliance, they say, happens when users accept incorrect or incomplete AI outputs, mainly because mistakes in AI outputs may be hard to detect. A fluent paragraph about the tool's own internals is the hardest detection problem there is. Copilot prepares. A person decides. Every quote here came off Microsoft's live pages on the 13th of August, 2026, and the 3 runs happened in a real tenant the same morning? One of those pages carries 2 different last updated dates, so I am dating my check, not theirs. If this changed what you do the next time Copilot gives you a reason, subscribe and turn notifications on. A like puts it in front of the next person about to trust a paragraph.